we begin?
Yes, ma'am.
You can begin now.
Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, Nadia, and our friends. We are from Team 1. We would like to present our test, Chapter 5. This is General Ledger and Subsidiary Ledger. Before that, we would like to introduce our team. Sorry, there is something happening. Okay. So our team consists of Tri Adrian Pratama, Satya Kirana Chandra, and Salsabila Kirana. And the first page would be presented by Satya.
Okay. Can my voice be here? I'll explain about characteristic of general ledger and subsidiary ledger. First, ledger is a collection of accounts that are used to sort and summarize the information that has been recorded in the journal. A subsidiary ledger is a branch ledger that contains the detail of certain account in the general ledger. Thus, both the general ledger and the subsidiary ledger consist of account. So the question is, what is the account? Account is the title of an accounting record, which is generally in the shape of a T, which is divided into two parts. The left is called a debit, and the right is called credit, as a tool for calculating and recording transactions based on the principle double entry keeping. The process of sorting and moving data into general ledger and subsidiary ledger is called posting. In the manual system, activity requires the following 4 stages. It is making journal recapitulation, sorting account to be filled with recapitulation data, recording data recapitulation into the account, and return the account to the archive in their original order. Okay, next. General ledger account form. Previously, I was mentioned that general ledger account is RT-set, but there are various versions of the general ledger account, include white debit ledger, regular ledger, center balance ledger, double ledger with balance ledger, and odd and new balance ledger. Next. So this is a form white debit ledger. This form of account profit as a description column next to the debit is wider than the description column next to credit. This is because the explanation related to debit transaction is more than the explanation related to the crediting transaction, and if it's necessary to determine the balance periodically. Regular ledger. This form of account is very commonly used. This account has an equally wide description column for both debit and credit. Generally, general ledger account use this form of account, and subsidiary ledger that use this account form are account receivable subsidiary ledger and account payable subsidiary ledger. Next. Center balance ledger. This form is used if balance information is required at any time, both debit and credit balance, and when a relative equal amount of explanation is required for both debit and credit transaction. The balance column is placed in the middle of the account, and account receivable and payable subsidiary account generally use this form. Balance ledger. This form of account is used when multiple explanations are required, both for debit transaction and credit transaction, and if required, current balance information is required at any time. Balance column is placed on the right to facilitate preparation of the balance sheet to indicate whether the balance listed in the balance column is a debit or credit balance. There are two ways to design the balance column. First, by insert column D or C with assign D for debit balance and marking C for credit balance in front of the number listed in the balance column. Second, by creating a separate debit balance column with the credit balance column. Account receivable, account payable, and inventory subsidiary ledger generally use this form. Next, double ledger with balance ledger. This form of account is used only a brief explanation is required for each debit and credit transaction when required information on the current balance and when the account is very actively used. Add a new balance ledger. This account is usually used if the company uses a bookkeeping machine as a posting tool. Posting operation with a bookkeeping machine require an odd balance pickup to enable the bookkeeping machine to automatically calculate new balance. Therefore, the form is designed to profit the old balance column and the new balance column to meet the needs of posting with the bookkeeping machine. Next, general ledger account arrangement. The account form in the general ledger must be adjust to the type and arrangement of information to be present in the financial statement. Usually, the financial statements are used as the basis for the information and preparation of general ledger account. In general, the type and structure of the information present in the financial statement and income statement for a particular type of business have followed the types and arrangement of In the general, the type and structure of the information present in the financial statement and income statement for a particular type of business have followed the types and arrangement of the usual standard in the presenting financial statement. For the type of business, for the type of business, as an example of the types and arrangement of information regarding current asset in the general statement of financial position of a manufacturing company are cash and bank, short-term investment, account receivable, allowance for doubtful debt, finished goods inventory, work in process inventory, raw material inventory, and indirect materials, unearned revenue, prepaid expense, and other current assets. Okay, next.
Okay, the next page is about chart of accounts. So according to Investopedia.com, chart of account is a financial organizational tool that provides a complete listing of every account in the general ledger of a company, broken down into subcategories. So chart of accounts is made to make it easier for the readers to locate specific accounts. Each chart of accounts typically contains a name, brief description, and an identification code. So code is more important thing in this case. Code is a framework that uses numbers or letters or a combination of numbers and letters to mark a classification that has previously been created. So code is made for purpose to make us easily identify and differentiate every element within certain classification. The next is the objectives of code. So, code is made to identify account data uniquely. The unique data makes it very different from each other. That's why when we have a unique data, we could properly record, classify, store, and collect data. The second is making data more concise. Code makes accounting data more concise, so it could reduce space in recording. The third is classifying account or transaction. The account code shows into what classification an account or transaction is grouped into. For example, account code in selling system is used in classifying regional origin. So, account code makes it easy to classify sales information by marketing area. The fourth is conveying certain meaning. With code, we can convey certain meaningful information. For example, a vehicle from Surabaya is given an L code. Then, the vehicle code starting with L will be certainly meaningful for people who understand the code granting system. The next is account coding method. So, there are 5 methods that we can use to make account code. The first one is numerical or alphabetic sequence code. The second is block numerical code. The third is group numerical code. The fourth is decimal code. And the fifth is numerical sequence preceded by an alphabetic reference. The first one is numerical or alphabetic sequence code. So this method is numbered codes or letters in order. The characteristic is the first, coded with sequence numbers from small numbers to large numbers. The second, the digit in the code is different. For example, accounts with codes 1 up to 9 have 1 numbers in their account codes, but accounts with codes 10 up to 99 have 2 numbers in their account codes, and so on. The third characteristic is expansion of classification on an account will result in a change in the code of all accounts whose code is greater than the expanded account code. If the 20 deferred expenses account are expanded into 3 detailed accounts, the 21 code or organizational expenses, the 22nd code, trial run losses, the 23rd code, promotional expenses, then the accounts previously coded above those expanded accounts, code 22 and later, will undergo a code change. The example of this method is like this one. For code 1 for cash and bank, for code 2 short-term investment, and for code 11 for land, 12 for building. So this is there is a difference based on the characteristic. The digits in the code is different from cash and bank is different with land. The second is block numerical code. On this method, general ledger accounts are classified into groups and each group is provided with a block of consecutive numbers. The use of block numeral codes can overcome the weakness of numerical or alphabetic sequence code. To deal with the possibility of account expansion, in each block of numbers is provided an extended backup number. So the expansion of the account code will only affect the account code in the corresponding block. The characteristic of this method is coded with sequential blocks of numbers from small numbers to large numbers. The second is the digits in the code is different. A number-coded account in blocks 1 up to 9 has one number in its code, while in blocks 10 up to 99 has two numbers in its code, and so on. The third characteristic, the extension of classification on an account is accommodated by providing a backup number in each block that is expected to have an expansion of the classification. For example, for the classification of long-term liabilities, accounts are provided numbers 125 to 129. Since the number of accounts included in this classification will not be more than 5 accounts, while only the numbers 125, 126, and 127 were used as a code, the remaining two numbers, 128 and 129, were provided to accommodate the expansion of the long-term liabilities classification that has been estimated by the system analysis. So the example for this method is shown below. This code is 125 up to 129, which is the code 125 up to 127. There is a count, while the 128 and 129 is still empty because this is used to provide or to accommodate the expansion of the long-term liabilities. The third is group numerical code. Group numerical codes are formed by two or more subcodes that are combined into one code. The characteristic is shown below. The first, accounts are numbered or a combination of numbers and letters. The second, the number of numbers and or letters in the code is fixed. The third is the position of numbers and or letters in the code has a certain meaning. The fourth is expansion of classification is done by breaking up numbers and letters to the right. Based on the data, so the data is on the next slide. Usually, the group numerical code is used to show data hierarchy. Relationships between expense and company responsibility center, which are divided according to hierarchy. So there are three hierarchy on a company that usually described by group numerical code. The first is director, department, and division. And the second, for the next box on this group numerical code, there is type of cost. So this is the data. We can see on the graphic below, there is 5 blocks. For the first block is for directorate, the second for department, the third is for division, while 4 and 5 blocks for type of cost. So based on data, can be determined that the number of numbers in the code is 5. With the details of the first 3 numbers to indicate the relationship of cost with the organizational structure, and the remaining 2 numbers indicate the type of expenses. Since the number of expenses type is estimated not to exceed 100. Positions 1 to 3 in the code have the meaning of responsibility center, board of directors, department level, section level. For example, the position 1 of the first number indicates that the completion division under the production director has a code of 200. So on the graphic shown on this presentation. There is division, completion division under the production director that has code 2. The first number is 2. And position number 2 indicates that the completion division under the production department has code 21. The position of the third number indicates the part code, which is the completion part itself. Therefore, the position on the third number is unique code for the completion section. Positions on the fourth and fifth numbers indicate the type of expenses. So there are 3 things that we have to consider if we want to design account code. The first is code framework must logically meet the needs of the user and the data processing network. Arbitrary code such as SSR to show synthetic air in the flight code confuse the passengers of the aircraft. The second is each code must uniquely represent the element that is given the code. So, the code for the receivable account to Lisa Remedy should only show the debtor's account, not the other debtors. The third is the code design should be easily adapted to the demands of the change. If the code structure has to be changed each time, it faces the demands of change. This will cause the user a change and confusion. And the next chapter will be explained by Kirli.
Can you slide show your slide?
Slide show your slide.
Budia, I'm sorry to interrupt, but Dinda can enter this room.
What?
Gamit. Because her account
It's not OPN account?
Why?
Dinda must log in her OPN account.
katanya nggak bisa, Bu.
Login di emailnya OPN?
Iya, katanya email UPN-nya yang nggak bisa dipakai gitu katanya, Bu. Gimana ya?
Kalian pakai email apa?
Saya pakai email UPN, Bu, tapi mereka nggak bisa katanya. Dinda sama Adel.
Oh. Harusnya bisa. Udah bisa di Gimana caranya ya? Masukkan kalau nggak bisa masuk. Ini juga nggak ada. Kalau pakai emailnya sendiri nggak bisa.
Harus pakai emailnya UPN. Iya, tapi dia nggak bisa.
Kenapa emailnya UPN nggak bisa ya? It should be. Harusnya bisa. Gimana ya? Dia nggak bisa masuk. Nggak ada kata-kata apa? Nggak ada kata-kata masuk. Oke, browser lain bisa. Oke, browser apa sih? Siapa? Ada sama. Adinda sama apa tadi? Ada. Oke, browser apa? Coba kalau ganti browser bisa nggak?
Salsa, kayaknya tadi di Gameitmu ada itu deh. Ada Adel mau masuk.
Iya, yang pertama kali masuk harus apa? Klik admit.
Tadi ada, nah itu.
Nah, itu dia. Admit, jadi dia bisa masuk.
Oke, thank you.
Oke. Next is Firly.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. The next is subsidiary ledger. Next slide. So a subsidiary ledger is a group of account which is a form of current account in a general ledger, which is formed to facilitate and accelerate the preparation of reports and trial balance. Next. In generally, manufacturing companies maintain the following subsidiary ledger, like number one is supplies subsidiary ledger, number two account receivable subsidiary ledger, number three debit subsidiary ledger, number four is cost of production subsidiary ledger, number five is fixed asset subsidiary ledger. In number one, supply subsidiary ledger, an example is the following supply card form. And number two, account receivable subsidiary book consists of account receivable card arranged according to the name of the company debitors. Account receivable card are used to record transaction and balance of receivable to each debitor and are used as a source of information for making account receivable statement that are sent periodically to each debitor. For example, the receivable card can use an ordinary account, and it can be with an account with a balance column in the middle, and can be with account with a balance column. So next, in number three is debit subsidiary ledger. It consists of debit card arranged according to the name of the company's creditor. The example is the following account with a balance column in the middle, and an account with a balance column in the middle, an account with the balance column. Number four is a subsidiary, a cost subsidiary book of product cost. It consists of the cost of the product, which is used to record the cost of order produced by the company. The example is product cost card. The cost subsidiary book consists of cost card, which are used to record expenses that are not related to a particular order, such as factor overhead costs, administrative and generally expense, and marketing expense. The cards generally use an account form with balance column. The number five is fixed asset subsidiary ledger. Consists of fixed asset cards which are used to record all information regarding fixed assets, the acquisition amount of type of fixed asset, depreciation location, specification, and capital expenditure. The example is next slide. So next is posting to general ledger and subsidiary ledger ya maksudnya. Posting is moving into general ledger and subsidiary account. There are four ways. Number one is posting journal to the ledger account by hand and posting source document to the subsidiary account in the same way. Number two is posting source document to the subsidiary account that produces the journal as a copy of the posting to the amount. Number three is posting to a subsidiary books as a result of filling in the source document, which also produce a journal as a copy of the evidence. And number four is bookkeeping without a subsidiary book. Next slide. Sorry, the picture I cropped in the book. So number one is posting journal the ledger account by hand and posting source document into the subsidiary account in the same way. In this posting method, the source document is posted in the subsidiary and copy the post-produced as journal. Then periodically made a trial balance. The trial balance is reconciled with the debiting and crediting of control account concerned in the general ledger. So after that is like this. So next, posting source document to the subsidiary account that produces the journal as a copy of the posting to the account. In this posting, the source document is posted in a subsidiary book with a copy of the posting to produce the journal. So in the picture is journal with subsidiary ledger is in one place. After journal and subsidiary ledger is made, we make neraca saldo. After neraca saldo is made, so there are process reconciliation. After that, make a recap journal. Next, posting a subsidiary book as a result of filling in the source, which also produce a journal as a copy of the evidence. In this posting method, posting source document into a subsidiary books and journal. Recording is done in one rate. After that, we must make a recap journal, make neraca saldo. After that, neraca saldo and recap journal is we in reconciliation process. Next slide. It's number 4. It is bookkeeping without a subsidiary ledger. So in this posting method, no subsidiary books are used in bookkeeping. The auxiliary function is replaced by an archive of source document. So in bagian alur dari dokumen sumber, we make langsung dibuat jurnalnya. Next slide. How to handle source document. Source document or the term media can be classified into two types, namely single media and mixed media. Single media is a source document can only one account debited or one account credited. Mixed media is a short document containing more than one credited or more than our account debited. Next slide. So there are several steps for recording data recorded on mixed media into supporting account. It's different with will we use a single media. It's only for a mixed media. Number 1 is tag the media that will be recorded into the helper account. Number 2 is looking for account card to be debited or credit stored in archive based on the data listened in the media. Number 3 is tag from file the account card selected in the second step and put it on the table, or if posting to the account is done by a bookkeeping machine installed on the machine. Number 4 is record the data listed in the media into the account card, which is taken from the archive to the third stage. Number 5, return the account card to its original place in the archive to facilitate its search again in the next post. Next slide. Single media posting, single media handling. Single media posting to a subsidiary account does not a problem. So because it's simple than mixed media. For example, a single media is a credit sale which is a source document in recording account receivable into account receivable subsidiary account. Next slide. Handling mixed media. In handling for mixed media, there are two. Number one, random post. In this method of posting, mixed media are posted to the account in the order in which they were decided. Post each debit or each credit into the account concerned. Then, after finishing at the next order of media, this random post is have a characters that number one is each media is only taken once to be posted to the account. And number two is account can be retrieved more than once during the posting period. Number two is exhaust post. In the posting, media are grouped and regrouped according to the account to be debited and credited. So to fill it once with all debit or credit during all media posts. So in this posting media, the character are number one is each account is only taken once to be filled in the for posts from the media. Number two is media can be retrieved more than once to be posted the account during the posting period. So random post and exhaust post is berkebalikan like that. Next. So that is our presentation. Akhirul kalam. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.